One of the really interesting things about the Looker journey that certainly we were exposed to since the very, very early days of the company is I think in the history of First Round across 450 businesses, it's the only company that didn't miss a number all the way through sort of massive exit, or sort of somewhat directionally that's the case. How was it even possible for that number of quarters?
I mean, we had a sales process that worked through a spreadsheet really effectively. Like we did a really good job of understanding our sales pipeline and what needed to get created. So our close rates are incredibly consistent through the life of the business. And we were able to generate meetings really effectively for the life of the business. The biggest thing that you can do is understand where your business comes from. Like we closed 30% of our business intra-quarter, which means that they were leads generated intra-quarter. The 70% was generated pre-quarter, and like I think 40% of it came from the previous quarter and 30% of it came from the 3 quarters previous. And so like at a certain level, we just really had a very tight understanding of what sales pipeline looked like. And then we just did a good job of, getting through trials, understanding close rates and things like that. I did not appreciate at the time that like management through a spreadsheet was not how every business ran either. So I now appreciate the difficulty a little bit more.
And I'm curious, kind of maybe have you talk a little bit about that or your own reflections. I think you could probably argue it as it's an epically good thing or in some ways epically bad thing. And what was sort of the philosophy around goal setting or specifically number setting, and kind of what do you make of it?
Yeah, I oscillate back and forth on this one. In some sense, it's so exceptional. And this wasn't like hitting okay numbers. We sort of just picked like the 80th percentile of a great business and we said that's our goal. And then we drew that line out for 24 quarters and hit it, which is, no startup founder is going to be like, I am not happy with that.
What, Colin, was it explicit? We never want to miss a number. That's the culture here, or it was less explicit?
I wouldn't say we talked about never missing the quarter, but everyone had so much pride in it implicitly that we were never going to miss a quarter. So like, I think it was like, at least on the management team, it definitely was, we're never going to miss a quarter type thing. It's funny to juxtapose against Google because I worked at Google, before the Looker acquisition, and they have this idea of OKRs, and like explicitly, you're not supposed to hit your OKRs. Like 70% is great. And I think at my core, I believe that is a better way of doing things because it like unlocks you to overachieve a little bit more. And so I think in some sense, it constrained our ambition in some ways, and it constrained it to, again, the 80th, 90th percentile of what a great business looks like. So it's hard to say that like it significantly constrained what the business could be. Like I want to miss some quarters because we're aiming too high for sure, because I think it unlocks people to find new ways to do more. And I think like the downside to that, like Looker hitting the quarter every single quarter is like, I think that we might have beaten it by more than 105%, like 3 or 4 times out of those 24. So it was a machine. It was a machine. And that is so commendable. But I think the same way that you would argue that like a runner that hits their target every single time they go out probably can push a little bit harder. I think that we probably didn't give ourselves space to make mistakes and try to do things. And it probably made it more difficult to unlock another level because we were so afraid of failure.